Beginning to feel the cold, are you? Oh, come on, man. Well, look at this. Come on. My plan was to use this floor because the truck floor was so bad. Got a curveball here. Now I get to work on the floor of this old Crown Vic. Bummer. That's better. All right, been making some progress on this thing. Show you what I'm working on. Took some old scrap metal pieces I had lying around, made these little filler panels here. I was going to make a cab corner because the budget on this truck is basically zero, and the problem was I didn't have enough cab corner left to model making my own. So what I decided to do, I was like, well, maybe I'll buy one and then I'll use that one to pattern the other side. And then I thought, screw it. By the time I save myself a couple hours, it's worth just spending the $60 each side and buying them. And I'm glad I did, because it would have been kind of difficult to make. And as you can see, there wasn't a whole lot left out of the original cab corner. And if you see this here, this extended all the way down till almost the bottom of the piece. So what I did was I cut this out and I took a section out and raised it up so it would actually have this piece and actually look a little finished, a little more finished than just running it straight off and straight down. I like how it turned out. Put some little rubber grommets in here to run my wires through, and before I got started on that other side, I figured I would show what I had going on over here. I'm happy with it. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going to body work any of this stuff. The gaps are a little bit off here, and I could pie cut it and make it all perfect. I'll hammer it over a little bit, pry and weld it up, and it'll be good enough for what this truck is. Just giving it a second chance at life. It's never going to be a show truck or anything. Just want a nice cruiser. Stuff like this, that's simple to fix. The cab corner, that would have taken me a couple hours to make one, so I'm glad I went ahead and just bought them. All right. Got both cab corners welded in. Moving on to this rocker. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do there. Whew, what a mess. I connected the rocker in the front and the back to the cab. Then I brought in this piece of the Crown Vic roof that I had laying around outside and decided to use it to make a filler panel to connect the rocker to the Crown Vic floor. Busted out the old metal brake, Been up a 90. Pretty stoked on how it came out. Same thing with the driver's side. I didn't get a whole lot done in the garage this month. I worked a ton of overtime, and when I say a ton of overtime, I'm not exaggerating. My 2-week paycheck I just got had 142 hours on it. So when I say I worked a bunch of overtime, I ain't some sissy that worked like 2 hours and thinks that's overtime. But anyway, it was freezing cold, so I figured I might as well get some extra money.
Getting paid.
Looks a lot better. And another thing I learned this month, aside from working a ton of overtime sucks, is that mice love Werther's original candies. Check it out. I just gotta figure out a way to attach these bad boys. I started messing with some paint blending on the door. Not doing so great, but it's getting better than just the blue door. I understand this is an old beater truck, but man, I don't know how this truck got so many crazy dents all over it. Just all sorts of beat up everywhere. I did put a lift on this thing. I bought some 33s for the winter. And then I ended up buying an 1.5-inch leveling kit for the front. One of those awesome ones from eBay, but I think the Chinese kid that welded it, I don't think he did a very good job, because it lifted the front like 4 inches, and then it had this really silly squatted look to it. So then I had to go and add some cheap ass lift spacers to the back also. And, you know, went ahead and did new ball joints, because, you know, this thing's a total snowball. And every time I do something, I got to do 12 other things. So, but that is another thing I accomplished this month. Looks a little better.